Jiang Xiaoyong's mind seethed with anger as he stared at Wen Shuya. This bitch, he thought, you and Cui Jing scammed me out of my family fortune. In this life, I'll make you pay back double. His resolve hardened as he turned to her. What are you doing here? He finally asked, his voice edged with tension. Wen Shuya, always quick to catch on to any opportunity, smiled brightly as she clung tightly to his arm. Her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, as if she hadn't noticed the subtle hostility radiating from Jiang. She eagerly asked if this was the land he had recently bought, gushing over how beautiful the scenery was, and innocently wondering if he planned to build a villa there. The excitement in her voice only irritated him further. Jiang, holding back the urge to snap, roughly yanked his arm free from her grip. What I build is none of your business, he replied icily, each word dripping with disdain, and Wen Shuya was surprised at the reply. As Jiang turned around to do his thing, Wen Shuya thought that something was wrong. Jiang Xiaoyong wasn't acting like his usual self. Normally, just grazing her hand would make him blush, and his heart racing. But today, even after she had gone out of her way to flirt, there was no reaction from him at all. She found herself wondering what had changed. Her thoughts were quickly interrupted when Jiang turned away, barking orders to the workers scattered across the site. He was in full control, his sharp voice demanding that the gate be expanded immediately. Wen Shuya watched, frustrated, as her charm failed to have its usual effect on him. She called after him, her voice a little more strained, but he didn't bother to acknowledge her. Her gaze narrowed, frustration morphing into determination. I can't miss this golden opportunity, she thought to herself. Since Cui Jing had fallen out with Jiang, Wen Shuya sensed an opening, a chance to manipulate the situation in her favor. If she could push Cui Jing out entirely, this land might just become hers. She smiled to herself at the thought, already plotting her next move. Later that evening, back at his house, Jiang Xiaoyong sat down, reviewing his finances with a deep frown. Pawning the house to the bank had only gotten him 3 million yuan, hardly enough to cover the initial costs of the construction project. It wasn't going to be enough, and the clock was ticking. He needed to find more money, fast. An idea formed in his mind, daring and ruthless. The apocalypse is imminent anyway, he reasoned. Even if I sell the house to multiple people, it won't matter in the long run. Let's do it. His plotting was interrupted by a loud and incessant knocking at the door, accompanied by voices demanding that he open up. Jiang scowled, instantly recognizing the source of the disturbance. Damn, it's that old man again. His downstairs neighbor, Grandpa Li, had been a persistent thorn in his side. The old man owned the first and second floors of the building, and had been hounding Jiang to sell him the third floor as well. Jiang had always refused, intending to use the house as his marriage home. But ever since his refusal, Grandpa Li had been relentless in his petty harassment. Painting graffiti on Jiang's door, piling trash outside, placing funeral wreaths in front of his home, even jamming the lock. The man was relentless. When Jiang finally opened the door, Grandpa Li immediately launched into his usual rant, accusing Jiang of being out clubbing late last night. Jiang cut him off sharply, barely holding back his frustration. He hadn't gone out at all the previous night, he'd been in bed before 10. But the old man didn't care about the truth. All he wanted was Jiang's house, and he wasn't above creating false accusations to pressure him into selling. Jiang's patience snapped. He accused the old man of being obsessed with buying the property and, in a sudden decision, declared that he would sell the third floor to him after all. Grandpa Li, taken aback by the sudden shift, softened his tone, barely able to believe what he was hearing. Was Jiang serious? When Jiang confirmed, the old man's eyes lit up with greed, but Jiang wasn't finished. There was a condition: he wouldn't hand over the house until 6 months had passed, and in the meantime, he would continue to live there. Not only that, but Grandpa Li would have to transfer 5 million yuan to him in one go, allowing Jiang to pay off the mortgage for his new house. Grandpa Li hesitated, suspicious of such a deal. Jiang, unfazed, moved to close the door. If you don't agree, then forget it, Jiang said, the ultimatum clear. In a rush of panic, Grandpa Li stopped him, reluctantly agreeing to the terms. However, the old man demanded a contract to ensure Jiang wouldn't back out. Jiang smirked inwardly, thinking that the old man is going to die anyway, as he agrees to the contract. Sometime later, Jiang sat quietly, considering his next steps. Once Grandpa Li transferred the 5 million yuan, along with the 3 million from the bank loan, he would have 8 million yuan. That should be more than enough to complete the construction, plus more. First, complete the system task and claim the reward. He accessed the system interface, pressing the button to claim his reward, but nothing appeared yet, as another task still remained incomplete. At the shopping mall, Jiang's actions soon drew attention. Pushing multiple shopping carts filled to the brim with supplies, he went on a spree to gather everything he needed for his apocalypse preparation task. Onlookers whispered among themselves, confused by the spectacle. A random guy nudged his friend, speculating that Jiang might be mentally unstable. The girl beside him urged her friend to steer clear of Jiang, whispering that they should keep their distance. As Jiang reached the checkout, the amount of goods he had amassed stunned the bystanders. One girl openly questioned why anyone would buy so many things. Another guy, laughing, guessed that Jiang was just another fool who had fallen for doomsday rumors. The rumors didn't bother Jiang. His focus was solely on the task at hand. The system interface flashed, confirming that the apocalypse preparation task had been completed. He gained 10 system points, the first reward for his efforts. Jiang scrolled through the system store options, contemplating his next move. Enhancing his attributes for survival in the apocalypse was tempting, but the protagonist supply box, which cost exactly 10 points, stood out. Without hesitation, Jiang made his decision. No need to hesitate, he thought, his excitement building. When given the opportunity, go all in. He selected the protagonist supply box and confirmed the purchase. His 10 points were instantly deducted, leaving him with 0, but what he gained was priceless, a level 1 space ring with 500 square meters of storage space. Even more importantly, time stood still within the ring. Jiang grinned to himself. I knew it! The first draw is always the best. Time stands still inside the ring space? That means if I store fresh goods, they won't spoil. Perfect. A new mission appeared titled 10 Years of Sustenance. The description of the mission is to provide additional 10 years of supplies. The reward for completion is 20 points. Then suddenly, the store manager, Yang Tao, approached, flanked by security guards. Yang Tao barked out orders, demanding to know who was causing trouble. His eyes narrowed when they landed on Jiang. He recognized him immediately. Jiang too recognized Yang Tao, his former high school classmate and lackey of the school bully, Jiang Xiaoyong. Jiang hadn't expected to run into him today. Yang Tao, trying to assert his authority, pointed at Jiang, telling him to put the items back. His voice brimmed with the same arrogance from their school days, as if he still thought he could intimidate Jiang. But Jiang wasn't the same person anymore. Coolly, he reminded Yang Tao that he was there to purchase items and asked if this was how Huarenfa treated its paying customers. Yang Tao scoffed, challenging Jiang to pay up immediately or face the consequences. The checkout beeped continuously as item after item was scanned, the total rising astronomically. By the end, the cashier, nervous and sweating, announced that the total came to 56,883 yuan. Yang Tao thrust the card reader toward Jiang's face, practically snarling at him to pay up. Jiang didn't flinch. He swiped his card, and the machine beeped, confirming the transaction. Yang Tao, momentarily stunned, had no choice but to step down. But before he could leave, Jiang called him back. He demanded an apology for the rude treatment. Yang Tao, annoyed, asked if Jiang was looking for trouble, but the onlookers sided with Jiang. Shouting for Yang Tao to apologize, one person even threatened to record the incident and post it online. Jiang also stated that if his apology is sincere enough, he would happily buy 10 times more than he bought just now. Yang Tao doesn't believe Jiang's words, so Jiang flaunted his black card once more and told him to bring him the point-of-sale machine to prove that has the money and that he means his words. Yang couldn't believe his eyes and was shocked at the sight of 700,000 yuan the moment Jiang swiped his card. Jiang then repeated what he said about him apologizing. With no other option and with money on the line, Yang Tao apologized. Jiang now pet Yang Tao's head mockingly and warned him not to be so reckless in the future. Yang Tao, ever the opportunist, quickly shifted his tone, asking what Jiang was planning with all the items. Jiang brushed him off, saying it wasn't Yang's business, and hinted that he was planning something big. Seeing an opening, Yang Tao suggested that Jiang would need more than just the supermarket's inventory and offered to introduce him to a wholesaler. He mentioned that Jiang Xiaoyong, their old school bully, was now in the wholesale business. Jiang thought back to how Yang Tao and Jiang Xiaoyong had likely made a shady fortune working for Huarenfa. Later, Jiang and Yang Tao waited in a remote location. The silence was broken by the screeching of tires as a car pulled up recklessly, startling Yang Tao. Jiang observed, unimpressed. This driver must have never been scammed before to act so arrogantly. A man, presumably Jiang Xiaoyong, stepped out of the car. Yang Tao eagerly introduced Jiang as the client he had mentioned earlier, reminding Jiang of their high school connection. Jiang Xiaoyong took a long drag of his cigarette, blowing smoke in Jiang's face, before sneering that Jiang was the guy with a bit of backbone back then. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we end our video for now. If we have created the next one, click the video on the right. And if you want to watch the previous video, click the video on the left, and as always, I'll see you next time. Subscribe.